Hola from Ajijic, Mexico, in the state of Jalisco on Lake Chapala. I'm Bob Henderson. I'm the Nomad Dad for the Nomad Capitalist, spending part of the year in Mexico. And it is a lovely place to be in a very mild climate here in the mountains alongside Lake Chapala, which is the largest lake in Mexico. Well, I'm going to talk about a number of things today in the next few minutes. And it's a little bit about my observations on the passing parade. You know, I get up many days and I really don't want to check the news. I have this feeling of angst. What is the latest lunacy going to be that's being promoted by someone in a position of power or influence? And I got to thinking, and this goes back to the talk I gave at Nomad Capitalist Live at Playa del Carmen last May 2021. And I remember I was talking about, where we are in the fourth turning these days, where we are in American society. And I said, it feels a little bit like the announcer on a quiz show that I used to enjoy back in the 1960s when I was pretty young. And by the way, I thought after watching all these quiz shows, I loved The Price is Right and some of these shows, I thought, man, I want to be a quiz show host. Either that or I want to be a disc jockey. Well, I was a top 40 jock and I was a talk show host in a big market, but I didn't have it as far as being a quiz show host. I had more hair then, but I wasn't a pretty boy, not glib, so on and so forth. So I never became, or a backslapper, I never became a quiz show host, but I used to watch this show called The Newlywed Game, and the announcer at the beginning of the show would always say, you can always expect the unexpected on the Newlywed Game. You can always expect the unexpected. And that's what I look at in our society today. Every day you can always expect the unexpected. And it's getting to be a little bit too much. So much so that some of my friends now know me as Winston Smith. Think about that for a minute. I decided early in 2021, with all the nonsense, the cancel culture, the wokeism, the obliteration of the statues in our past history, I got to thinking about the movie 1984, Orwell, of course. I believe this was in the 90s that was it William Hurt that starred as Winston Smith? Winston was worked at the Ministry of Truth, and they would, create new truths every day and get rid of all the old stuff, canceling all the old history. And that's kind of where we are today. And I just kind of thought, in a sarcastic sense, I'm Winston Smith. And so some of my friends now refer to me as Winston Smith, which wouldn't be a bad name for a disc jockey or a talk show host, by the way. And speaking of disc jockeys, in the 70s, I was very young, and I was at a big station in Cleveland with some tremendously talented people playing top 40. And in 1973, one of the big records was a song called The Americans. And I got to thinking about this because it really, 73, this song, The Americans, it was written by a Canadian news director, guy by the name of Gordon Sinclair, and it was recorded by a newsman at CKLW Radio in Windsor, Ontario, which is just on the other side of the river from Detroit. And CKLW was a big top 40 station, very popular throughout the Midwest. And they had something called 2020 News, 20 before the hour. And they had these big stentorian voices, like Byron MacGregor, who did The Americans, which was a top 5 record. And so to just give you an idea what CKLW News would be, they come on, Byron MacGregor, CKLW 2020 News. Topless woman found headless in Detroit bar. I mean, it'd be that sort of thing, which I don't think you can get away with today. In fact, he even admitted as much. But he had this record, and Gordon Sinclair, the Canadian, wrote about, because America had all kinds of problems. We were beginning with the inflation, the stagflation. We had gas lines. Gasoline went from $0.25 to $1 a gallon. And there were all kinds of gas lines, all kinds of shortages. Doesn't that sound similar to what we're experiencing today? All of those things. And he wrote this commentary called The Americans about America will overcome this and they'll survive and they'll be better for it. Well, we were, but it took a long time. And it was a giant slog and it was a mess. And I got to thinking about that. And if you're closer to my age, you might know what I'm talking about. If not, go to YouTube and download the song called The Americans by Byron MacGregor, or you could put in Gordon Sinclair, because I think he read it as well. But the hit was by Byron MacGregor. And that reminds me a lot of today. However, I think today is worse. My 92-year-old mother, who lived through the Depression and the war and is very politically and news just knows exactly what's going on, is a great historian, very intelligent, says there is no comparison to what we're living through today. This is by far worse than the Depression or the war. Yeah, those were tough times, but the people were closer together for a common purpose, okay? Today we're at each other's throats. So look at the Americans. Keep in mind the newlywed game, and you can always expect the unexpected. I want to close with a story. As I see what's happening today, and I talked about this at Nomad Capitalist Live in May of 2021, my concern is this. There was a British foreign minister right before the start of World War I that started in 1914. This was 13 or so years or so before. And he turned to one of his colleagues and he said, "The lights are going out throughout Europe, and they shall not be lit again in our lifetime." And I'm kind of tempted to say, as I look at the United States and the Western world, the lights are going out throughout the Western world, and they shall not be lit again in our lifetime. I hope I'm wrong. We might be able to change that if we stand up for freedom. But the hour's late. I'm Bob Henderson. I'm the Nomad Dad for the Nomad Capitalist.
Don't stop now. We've got well over 1,000 more videos here on YouTube for you to watch and learn how to go where you're treated best. And if you want to work with Nomad Capitalist personally, go to nomadcapitalist.com/apply, learn about our unique, tried and true process, garnered over years of experience, and learn how you can become our client.